everyone, my name is SeaTactics for the win, otherwise known as Ben. I hope you are all having a fantastic day. Today, we are here to review Net-juu no Susume, otherwise known as Recovery of an Mmo Junkie. So, going into fall 2017, there was an anime that caught my attention for the title alone. Of course, it's Recovery of an Mmo Junkie. I was interested because the title gave me hope that it would tell a story around an MMO that I would actually like. Unlike many other anime I can name, SAO, there was something about that name though. It kept me interested in it. And when I finally got around to watching the first 3 episodes, I was surprised. I was surprised because this anime tells a story that related to me. It was an anime centered around online relationships through video games. And I'm sure, like most of us, we have formed some kind of bond between another person online through video games. This anime, in essence, aims to capture that feeling, that experience of meeting someone online and creating a relationship from it. Does it succeed in doing that and also telling a straightforward romance? Well, you'll have to find out at the end of this video if it did or if it didn't.
Tadaima.
Moriko Morioka is a 30-year-old woman who recently just quit her job to become a NEET. She immerses herself in an online MMO where she portrays the handsome blue-haired character Hayashi. In this game, she becomes friends with a group of people and games with them through the night and every day. Over time, Mori's looks and lifestyle become that of a slob. Her eyebrows are a mess, her hair is long and messy. She's a shell of what she used to be in her work life. Feeling a little sick one day, she decides to head to the convenience store to buy some medicine and runs into Yuta Sakurai, a former employee from Mori's last job. What will happen? Who and why did he come? I don't know. We shall find out. If you'd watch it, that is. The Recovery of an Mmo Junkie is based off the web manga of the same name by Ren Kokuyo, released originally in 2013. The anime aired during the fall 2017 season and is just 10 episodes long and a runtime of 24 minutes per episode. The anime is produced by Signal MD and licensed by Funimation and is also in their line of Funimation Now anime, which we will review later in this episode. Signal MD, though, is known for anime like Cyborg 009, Atom the Beginning, and that's all because they're a newer studio that haven't really worked on much, but don't let that persuade you just yet. The director of this series is Kazuyoshi Yaganuma, and he's notable for working on anime like the series Dot Hack Quantum, Akira, yes, that one, and Beck. This is also a very notable anime for Yaganuma, as this is Yaganuma's first director's credit, so keep this in mind moving forward. From a story perspective, Mmo Junkie is a well-paced one. It's just 10 episodes too, so it's such a quick little series to complete and get through. And because of its 10 episodes, the story really nails down Mori pretty well. She's our main character, and it's really about her trying to find herself again and take the next step as well to finding some form of love. Mmo Junkie takes a bunch of genres like romance and slice of life and somehow takes that and blends it into gaming and creates a romance anime with a modern twist to it. It's unique because this kind of story hasn't really been told before, but more on that in a moment. I really enjoyed this story because it just felt natural, and because of how natural it felt, everything was so more fluid in its delivery. Unlike this script, the voice actor for Moriko was just so fantastic in portraying this character. She's a spaz, a person who has social anxiety and probably has experienced some really heavy stuff in her life. The voice actress for Mori, Mamiko Noto, was just terrific in portraying this character. It does shine a light on anxiety and other heavy things that aren't really talked about. People don't understand social anxiety, and as a person who has social anxiety, and believe me, legitimate social anxiety. This anime really understands and knows how it manifests itself in just a small corner of our society. Moriko to me is someone I can truly relate with throughout the story because I am right there with her. Everything in this anime she goes through, I at the very least experienced before. So because of this anime holds a special place in my heart, and I want to thank Ren Kokuyo for making this story and characters, and for Kazuyoshi Naganumi for beautifully directing it, of course. And to everyone else working on the anime, thank you for doing that. It's very important to me.
Moriko Morioka, 30歳。脱サラしてニートになった。その辺の無職とは格が違う。自らニートの道を選んだ。エリートニートだ。
One of the things I find so great about the story is the fact that it's so relatable, and because it's so relatable, it's kind of adorable. Let's take, for example, the use of MMO in this story, and how they used it to make the characters so relatable, and more human, and adorable. Our main character, Mori is a 30-year-old woman, yet she plays a hot guy on an online MMO and roleplays as this hot guy. How many times have you guys or girls watching this done that? I'm going to guess that if you've played an MMO and you're watching this, it's likely you have done it at least one time before. The show uses this extremely well-known thing in the fandom of MMO to reward the viewers who have basically played those MMOs or video games, where they can roleplay as a character. This makes our main character just seem all that much more relatable. But let's also take, for example, some other real-world elements that are at the forefront of gaming culture currently. Loot boxes and microtransactions. And no, I'm not here to complain about EA or GTA Online. I'm instead not going to talk about that and tell you why this is brilliant for them implementing this into the story. Through small moments in the dialogue and sometimes visually, Mori will go and buy these points to buy loot boxes for the game she plays. Basically, in real life, this is a way to get around gambling. There is even an episode, which I thought was pretty funny, where she decides to fix her appearance and she equates the accessories prices to how many loot boxes she could have gotten for that same price. It's a great way to endear the character towards the viewers, as like I said. This is something that's been huge in the news for the last, 2 years of gaming, and right now, maybe at its fever pitch. This story is one that 10 years ago could have never been told, and I'm glad that this story has now been told. It's such a great, fun, relatable story.
これでよし。イケメン完成っと。Login.
In Mmo Junkie, the characters of this series have to be a key focus of your vision, not just because it's a slice of life, but because it's a romance. You see, I think romance anime need to have at least a couple things to be well received by me personally. What you really need to focus on first is giving your characters a sense of realism, like they could exist, because how many anime have you watched that has a romance where the characters aren't really all there? They're just hollow bodies and the dialogue they speak tries to fill that void. But Mmo Junkie has characters you want to like. You remember their names and their roles. How many characters do you remember in Just Because and Girls Last Tour as an example of something recent? I'm pretty sure not a lot. So the last thing I look for with romance, though, is if these characters grow and change. Are they human? This could be something as simple as the characters thinking they're undesirable at first, but as time goes on, they realize they are desirable. Something as simple as that can work. And Mmo Junkie has this in many ways. Moriko, when being caught with a friend, runs away because she thinks that her being around people would cause a burden. And honestly, that hits the relatability factor with me here too, as I have felt this way before. But characters that grow are incredibly detrimental, and there aren't that many great romances in anime, especially like this one, so I welcome it. Overall though, characters for Mmo Junkie are just terrific. Interactions, fantastic. They all fit their characters pretty well. You're not, like I said, going to get a hollow-bodied character with dialogue that fills their character out. It's not about hitting dialogue points. It's about filling up these characters, phrasing, with good dialogue that really gets you behind them and really just tries to make them more fleshed out and more real and filled up. The art for Mmo Junkie kind of surprised me a little too, as just looking at it, you can tell it's not meant to be this crazy, detailed, filled, rich world. But the backgrounds, while sometimes just being static images to save on cache, there are also moments where the backgrounds are really detailed. For example, in one of the episodes, Mori is in front of a store, and the windows are blurred out, but just enough to see what's on display in those windows. And guess what? It's handbags! There is also the convenience store in the show, which really shows that while incredible detail wasn't something they wanted to completely focus on, they did it to make this world come to life in certain scenes. Another aspect I love is character designs too. They are really great for the show. Mori's lifeless cold eyes really shows that her character isn't in the right headspace emotionally, and on top of that, her design of looking like a slob with unkempt eyebrows and bedhead really fill out her character visually and not like before. Even when she decides to change her look, there are great moments with the art, as Mori only dresses up for certain people in different ways. For example, let's take Koiwai and Sakurai. Mori usually dresses up and goes out of her way to look good for Sakurai, while with Koiwai, she still wants to look somewhat good, but she doesn't put in near as much effort as she does with Sakurai. This shows that Mori cares about how she looks and how she's represented with Sakurai over Koiwai. But for the MMO side of things, that looks pretty good as well. Hayashi and Lily's character designs change throughout the series except for the bracelets, which they both vowed to never remove, and are there until pretty much the very last episode. Another thing I liked about these two characters though is that their costumes change to represent, I assume, their experience level. They don't remain static throughout the whole series at all and change pretty regularly. I think this is a nice touch as you can change gear in MMOs pretty regularly. As for design of the MMO world, it's not nothing special, and I do wish there was some more depth added to it. As is, there is really only one episode you can really get a feel for the world's depth. From then on, it's kind of shoved to the side in favor of the real world and, all of that. Overall, though, I think the art direction for Mmo Junkie was terrific. Probably better than a lot of anime this season, like Inuyashiki. I wouldn't put this right up there with the Ancient Magus Bride, but a couple notches below for sure. And that's saying something because the Magus Bride looks visually incredible. Surprisingly here, the animation is very good for this anime. It fits the comedic style it's going for. As our first example, let's look at the facial expressions of this series. Mori is a girl who just plays games all day and sits in and is a slob, so to me, the way she reacts to things and her facial expressions are really well done here. When Lily-san and Hayashi give each other gifts, she is practically on the edge of her seat. She is invested in this emotionally. Her facial expressions in this scene are exquisite. She is blushing and she's staring at the screen in anticipation. There aren't any unique facial expressions here, kinda. It's mostly one of anticipation, which to me is how I would be reacting in this situation. So it doesn't really matter about its complexity, just if it's accurate. So I'm basically, in a lot of ways, I'm just eagerly awaiting a response, just like Mori is. In other parts of the show, though, we have great moments like Hayashi and Lily under the sea, and how things are animated there do seem a little cheap. But even then, they put enough into it to make out individual details. Things like bubbles and fish in the background really help make this scene, animation-wise, pretty good. Another good one where on paper the animation isn't anywhere it needs to be is the scene where they are training against a giant rat or gerbil, I'm not sure. Kinda looks a lot like a really furry Pikachu, but I can't really remember the scene to be honest, or well, which one, but they reuse a pretty major key animation multiple times there. The animation that's reused is one where the rat basically attacks Hayashi. But instead of this being a scene that's pretty serious, it's almost comedic, so the reuse of the animation doesn't come off as bad as it would otherwise. Overall, it's pretty good animation, everything considered, but you can easily nitpick some flaws in most episodes, so don't expect Evangelion levels of details, but at the same time, don't go in expecting something awful like Black Clover.
大丈夫ですか？天使だこれ。
Net-juu no Susume is of course licensed by Funimation, which means it's a part of Funimation's Funimation Now program. Funimation Now is basically Funimation's version of simuldub, which aims to dub anime with only a short delay to when it airs in Japan, usually just a 2-week delay. For this anime, the dub is basically your standard Funimation affair. It isn't bad by any means. We have great talent like Aaron Dismuke, Chihiro from Sakureya, and Josh Grell, which everyone knows Josh, so that's cool. But I think this anime was just simply miscast. We have Terry Dottie playing our MC, Mori Mori, who, if you don't know who that is, if you've watched Demi-chan, she plays the headless woman that carries her head. I forget what those are called. Doulahan, maybe? And it just doesn't really fit her. And honestly, Terry isn't a bad voice actor, and she does a great job acting the lines, pretty much. But when I think of Mori Mori, I don't think of her. I think more matured voice like Terry's, but a little more smooth, if that makes sense. But I think this criticism can be leveled at other characters like Lily-san and Koiwai. The way they were cast, the voices just don't match what I think they would match in my head. So in my opinion, you might as well stick with the Japanese subtitles if you're like me, as you'll just find it flows a little bit better. But don't get me wrong, the English dub is fine. It's pretty well acted in it. So if you just want to experience the story without having to go in detail and read all the fine text at the bottom, you can definitely watch the English dub. It's more than viewable. Probably one of the better Funimation Now dubs to come out this year. The score for this anime is done by Konish, who has worked on Appleseed, Hetalia, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexals, Hooray for Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's about it. And first off, I gotta say this guy did a really decent job with the score. It isn't anything that will blow you away by any means, but it certainly did impress me. The score for this anime is really calm, as to fit the comedic style that this anime has, obviously. But what surprised me even more is that even during small dramatic scenes where the romance is ramped up, it didn't really lay in on the score at all. Instead, there are scenes where the score isn't even noticeable until it's pointed out. I think this was done to give the dialogue more room to breathe and have more impact, as technically the dialogue here isn't really anything new, as this is a romantic comedy. I think scoring it the way he scored it was perfect for this series, and while there were no scenes in particular that carried them, I don't think it was really meant to begin with. This is almost certainly a show that is scored minimalist for a lot of scenes where you'd think otherwise. As for the opening ending songs, I think people can really appreciate them. Saturday Night Question is undoubtedly behind Inuyashiki for best opening of this season. It's fun, catchy, and doesn't take itself too seriously. To contrast that, the ending song is your more forward, straight, alternative rock style contemporary rock music that you've come to enjoy from Japan. It even has a kick-ass solo at the very end of the video thing, and I really love it. And I really wish they released the full song. Please do it. So yeah, I really just basically, I kind of like the score for this anime. Mmo Junkie is just, it was the easiest show to watch this season. I'll say that much. This season, we had a lot of anime that really either just confused me because it's just bad writing, or it just nothing happened, like Just Because and Girls Last Tour, or Net-juu no Susume, Mmo Junkie, I almost forgot its name, Recovery of an Mmo Junkie. Great anime. It's just, in every category where it wasn't good or great, it was solid. And there were episodes that were slower. I mean, you had the mid-season slump, as you do in most anime, which you just got to get through, and this anime has that as well. But even then, it wasn't an episode that was just terrible. It was really focused on fixing up Mori Mori's looks and kind of stuff like that. So it was something that was important to the story, which I'm thankful this anime was 10 episodes, because it just blazed through everything, and I was really happy for that. I don't think this anime would work as a 24 episode or even a 13 episode, which is surprising because 13 episodes usually is the sweet spot for most anime, but there isn't a lot of this manga that's out. I think there's 2 volumes, and that's pretty much it of the manga, of the web manga. So I think it's on hiatus right now or something like that. I've heard from someone, maybe it was Ray Asanka or someone through another video or something, but Mmo Junkie's great. So my review score for Mmo Junkie, here we go. A lot of you are going to be surprised at this score, especially when you go to watch my Inuyashiki review and my Magus' Bride review, most likely. By the way, my Magus' Bride review is coming out probably 2018, because that's when the series finishes. I'm giving Mmo Junkie an 8 out of 10. The reason I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 is because it's just one of the best this season. And it's also one of the best anime I've watched this whole year. It's right up there with, like, Dragon Maid, and Made in Abyss, and Inuyashiki, and, Princess Principal. It's right up there. I think it's obviously better than Princess Principal. It took me by surprise. Like, honestly, I wasn't expecting really anything from this. I was expecting kind of fan service, and I saw the way that it looked, and I was like, this like promo stuff looks really incredible. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people originally checked this out, because the promotional material looked great, looked fantastic, and that's why I was like, okay, I'll check out the recommendation of the wonderful virtual life, or whatever it's called, or the recommendation of the internet life, or the recovery of the internet life, or whatever it was called in Japanese. Japanese. I don't remember. So yeah, that's about it for the review. Thank you guys for watching the review. What do you guys think about Mmo Junkie? I really want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a like. I hope you all have a great day. And here's to next week, or this Friday, or next Monday, or whatever, or 2 weeks from now, at the end of the year, when I review Inuyashiki. That's the last review you guys will look forward to. This Wednesday, check out my re-review of Sword Art Online. It's coming out. Check it out. It's going to be great. I love you guys. See you guys later. See ya! Why did I say that again? No one knows.